Sadly, when the practitioners in the election riggers have taken over the country, all these dreams and hopes that Nigerians had have been dashed away because of the monumental looting, stealing, violence orchestrated by political, by politicians who are desperate to capture political power for their gains. Therefore, they institutionalize violence, they institutionalize all sorts of criminality just to get in there, and when they get there, it is the key to loot. That is not the aspiration that Nigerian people have, and that was not what Nigerian people have fought for democracy. Therefore, corruption is not and must not be accommodated or accepted as far as Nigerian people are concerned. State of corruption and the struggle against it. It's widely accepted that transparency and accountability are crucial elements that enables democracies to flourish. In Nigeria, however, our so-called democracy has persistently functioned under a veil of secrecy and lawlessness. The management of the country's resources has constantly disregarded the fundamental principle of democracy. Over the past few weeks, we have observed with great concern the malicious attacks and deliberate effort to blackmail anti-corruption agencies through sponsorship, influencers, insensitive opinion publication in some national dailies, online and electronic platforms, all targeted at discouraging anti-corruption efforts and shielding of people who have actually looted this country from being investigated. The pattern is clear. There is an unfolding plot of serious move to backpedal all the progress made by anti-corruption in this country. We cannot continue to allow our country to be hijacked by these corrupt individuals who did not constitute any significant number, but keeping Nigerians, in their vast majority in perpetual poverty, insecurity, and inequality. Now, there are a number of ways in which these corrupt people and their enablers have facilitated corruption and attack on anti-corruption institutions in Nigeria. Number one, judicial corruption. Judicial corruption constitutes a major challenge to anti-corruption work in Nigeria. The looters have repeatedly used their influence to manipulate the judicial process and system to block and delay or arrest or prosecute of suspects. This blatant disregard for the rule of law has eroded public trust and reinforced the perception that Nigerian democracy is nothing more than a facade. Clearly, the judiciary is not living up to its responsibility of ensuring that the rule of law and provision of the constitutions are upheld. As you can see that many Nigerians, they are even afraid to go to court because if you don't have money to bribe, you may not get justice. And if the administrative justice system is working against the general public, then it means that people will lose confidence in our judiciary. We also know that there are men and women of integrity in the judiciary, and that is why they need to rise up to rescue the image of the judiciary. There has been several allegations of judicial officers receiving bribes from politicians and politically exposed persons in order to circumvent laws. This has watered down the respect, trust, confidence of citizens in judiciary and negatively impacted in the fight against corruption in Nigeria. Nigerians have witnessed too many situations where courts have granted injunction which deter anti-corruption agencies from inviting and prosecuting corrupt government officials and politically exposed persons in Nigeria. Number two, corruption enablers in Nigeria. Nigerians have witnessed with alarm numerous cases featuring a high number of foreign enablers from Switzerland, Monaco, Panama, British Virgin Island, and United Kingdom facilitating corruption. Enablers from the UK are particularly strongly linked to Nigerian cases. Of course, Nigeria also has a numerous number of domestic enablers involved in many cases. Out of 87 enablers captured, 5 enablers are from Nigeria. 3 lawyers, law firms, and 2 real estate agents. This is due to the cases involving, for example, Nigerian lawyers managing trusts on behalf of their clients that are then used to move funds abroad. So these enablers, what they do is they serve as clients to the looters so that they can siphon this money. And you find these enablers in the bank, in the legal profession, in the real estate profession, and number of them are actively helping to siphon public taxpayers' money. So the enablers are constituting serious threat to the fight against corruption in Nigeria, and therefore we must do everything possible to decisively deal with these enablers who are protecting the corrupt individual. They provided opportunity for them to steal the money, keep it in abroad, and in Nigeria, they serve as their guarantor, or they even keep the money on their behalf. In fact, some of them, they use their girlfriends, they use their boyfriends to siphon money and give them to keep in the name of being trusted, so that by the time investigation is happening, you will not be able to trace the money. We have so many allegations that so many of these guys, they use their concubines, they use their girlfriends to siphon this money of public that are supposed to be used for development. Number 3, procurement of political power. Procurement of political power appointment by some suspected or investigated looters who are serving under the current administration as ministers, legislators, or occupying leadership position of the ruling party has exposed anti-corruption work to serious setback and deliberate sabotage that cripples the efficiency of the anti-corruption agencies. It is distressing to see people facing corruption allegations being appointed by the president to handle various positions of authority. Today, many serving lawmakers and ministers have corruption allegations against them. This is producing a culture of impunity, where politicians engage in corrupt practices without fear of consequences. This has eroded public trust in government and undermined legitimacy of democratic process, because what people are doing now, they use dirty money to either rig election, buy election, because it's no longer people's vote now. You wait, people will suffer to cast their vote, and then you get to the court, they will tell you, they will rig the election, they will tell you, let's meet in the court. By the time you go to court, it is a different story all over. This culture has to change. We cannot use public taxpayers' money to procure political appointment and election and continue to steal that same public funds. We have to change doing this. And anti-corruption agencies are finding it difficult, because these people are now the one to determine how you even survive, how you function as an agency, because they are the one to make the law, they are the one to supervise, they are the one to provide resources for your work. So you can see that the anti-corruption is actually handicapped, because those who are supposed to see the anti-corruption successful are the very ones that are under investigation, and they are the very ones that are also continuing to perpetuate the fraud that they are doing. Number 4, inadequate budgetary allocation to efficiently fund investigation and prosecution. Budgetary allocation to the EFCC, ICPC, Code of Conduct, Nigerian Police, among others, are inadequate. Poor resource allocation is a calculated attempt to gradually push these agencies toward extinction by limiting their resources. The government is effectively crippling their ability to function effectively and independently, because if you refuse to provide them with the enabling resources, how will they be able to work? Take, for example, the Nigerian police. The budget of the Nigerian police is so insignificant that even the office of the National Security Advisor has more money than the police. This can only happen in Nigeria. We already complained that we have insufficient policemen. You cannot provide resources to recruit competent police officers. You could not provide them with resources to effectively deal with the criminality in this country. Not to talk of the anti-corruption agencies like EFCC, ICPC, Code of Conduct that is supposed to look at the declaration as a declaration of all the public officials in Nigeria who run into millions now, and you deprive them. How will they be able to investigate the claims that you have declared your asset? So you can see that there's a deliberate and conscious effort to cripple the anti-corruption work if you do not provide them with enabling resources, or if you do not give them the support that they needed to do their work. Number 5, rising disinformation on the anti-corruption effort. There are desperate efforts by corrupt elements to disinform, mislead, and confuse Nigerians on the effort of various anti-corruption institutions in Nigeria. We are worried over the poor understanding of the work and mandate of the anti-corruption agencies by many Nigerians, including youth, who recently play an active role in preventing arrest of some prominent looters of public treasury, not minding the negative impact of the loots on rising unemployment and economic downtown being experienced, and aligning critical sectors that endlessly plunge our economy. If people who are responsible for putting us into this trouble are now using the same victims, because of ignorance, because of lack of understanding on the criminality that these people have committed against the people, then we are in trouble. So it is on this context that we are calling our young people to understand that there is nothing to gain by siding and supporting looters who have looted resources that they should have been used to better their life, by either creating conducive atmosphere for them to go to school, or to get a job, or to get functional hospital, or even access to road. The looters have looted the money for provision of all this, and the same young people who are starving, who are languishing in poverty, they are now being used by these looters to either rig election or to mobilize for ethnic and religious violence. Our young people must not be subjected to this ridiculous, hardship and misinformation about whatever these looters are doing. It is important that we draw our attention to our young people who are very active, who are very energetic, to stay away from this criminality. Many of these include traditional actors such as political thuggery and cultism, but also new sectors such as cyber crimes and human and drugs trafficking. These are the things that they are using our young people for, and we must ensure that our young people' future are not blocked. More youths are daily becoming engaged in criminal activities, including ritual killings, cyber crimes, kidnapping, prostitution, robbery, banditry. In the process, the youth whose collective future has been continuously mortgaged by our morally bankrupt corrupt politicians, have taken a clear stand today to see that they continuously misuse the energy of our young people. We must discourage our young people from following them. A good future for them will require that they take a clear stand in the struggle against corruption and all forms of criminality in Nigeria. Number 7, the undermining of subnational anti-corruption institutions. We are also concerned by the recent withdrawal of the police from the Kano State Public Complaints and the Anti-Corruption Commission. This withdrawal of about 40 police officers who were helping in ensuring that they provide safety and security from the recovered loot that the previous political corrupt people in the state have looted. The commission has been recovering and investigating these looters. Now they've recovered so many assets, and some people who have long road, they have connection, they are at the federal level, they have gone to talk to IG to withdraw these policemen who are helping to do this recovery, who are helping to guide the commission and its properties that they have recovered from the looters. So now currently the threat is that some people who this loot had been successfully recovered from them, with the withdrawal of police, they are actually attempting to go and take over those looted, recovered properties. That is why we do not see the rationale for the IG to actually listen to these looters, if they have, talked to him to withdraw these, policemen that are helping to guide this recovered, asset in the commission. And the implication for this is that you have actually shown that you are siding with those other people. And therefore, we are using this medium to call on the Inspector General of Police to ensure that the asset and the investigation that the police are supporting the commission, to do is not watered down or undermined. One of the top person that the commission is investigating is the former governor and his officials. And millions, billions have been recovered so far by the commission. And now with this connection at the federal level, they are actually watering down this effort. And it is at a time when we are encouraging more states to set up anti-corruption institution, because the looting at the state is so enormous that we need similar institutions like EFCC, ICPC at the state level to minimize the kind of democratic looting that is going on at the state and local government in Nigeria. It is absolutely necessary that we support subnational institutions so that they continue to fight corruption. We support the effort of Lagos state government, I think Jigawa state government, Oyo state government, Kano state government that have set up the anti-corruption, state-level anti-corruption. We will support them to continue to, strengthen those institutions, and those states that have not established, we are encouraging them to establish so that at least public funds can be saved in Nigeria. I will ask my colleague to continue.
That support Nigeria's growing corruption system. Corruption poses a significant obstacle to establishing effective governance in Nigeria. By diverting resources and subverting transparent systems designed to ensure the delivery of good public services, corruption hinders the nation's capacity to develop. To address the growing crisis facing anti-corruption programs, we recommend the following. 1, growing concerns over the declining levels of autonomy and integrity of the judiciary must be addressed. The National Judicial Council must diligently monitor its members and promptly remove any corrupt judicial officer found to be compromising the judicial system. By doing so, it will significantly contribute to the restoration of sanity and the promotion of accountability within the nation. 2, to truly establish a flourishing democracy, transparency and accountability must be strictly adhered to in governance. This requires holding politicians accountable for their actions and inaction, strengthening institutions to combat corruption, and ensuring that the allocation of resources is done in a fair and equitable manner. Only through these measures can Nigeria overcome its socio-economic challenges and build a democracy that truly serves the interests of the citizens. 3, we urge the ruling All Progressives Congress Party and other political parties to take decisive action in purging its ranks by denouncing and breaking support with their members who are currently being investigated by anti-corruption agencies. This can be operationalized by suspending all members tainted by corruption allegations and ensuring that they are held accountable before the law. Number 4, Adequate resource allocation to the anti-corruption agencies has become imperative to uphold their independence and enhance efficiency in the anti-corruption process. It is essential to prioritize adequate funding and support for anti-corruption agencies to prevent corruption and promote accountability. Through this, the present administration will demonstrate its commitment to fighting corruption. Religious leaders have a unique platform to influence their followers and promote ethical behavior. They can use their sermons, teachings, and religious texts to emphasize the importance of honesty, transparency, and accountability in all aspects of life. By speaking out against corruption and promoting integrity, they can help shape the moral compass of their communities and inspire individuals to resist the temptation of engaging in corrupt practices. Number 6, community leaders such as local government officials, traditional chiefs, and grassroots activists play a vital role in combating corruption. They are often the first line of defense against corrupt practices at the local level and can work to create a culture of transparency and accountability within their communities. By leading by example and holding themselves and others accountable for their actions, they can help build trust and foster a sense of collective responsibility for combating corruption. Number 7, opinion leaders, including journalists, academics, and social media influencers, have the power to shape public discourse and raise public awareness about the negative impacts of corruption. By using their platforms to expose corrupt practices, hold public officials accountable, and advocate anti-corruption measures, they can help mobilize public opinion and pressure governments to take action against corruption. Number 8, we urge the Inspector General of Police to promptly reinstate the police personnel withdrawn from the Kano State Anti-Corruption Commission to facilitate the effective execution of the Commission's duties. Nigerian police must avoid actions that may portray it as being submissive to politicians. And finally, number 9, civil society organizations such as non-governmental organizations, advocacy groups, and watchdog organizations also play a crucial role in the fight against corruption. They can conduct research, monitor government activities, and raise awareness about corruption issues. By working with other stakeholders, including religious leaders, community leaders, and opinion leaders, they can help build coalitions and mobilize collective action to combat corruption at all levels of government and society. Let us stand to be counted in the struggle for a corruption-free Nigeria. Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you all.
Attacks on anti-corruption agencies, because what we do when we attack these institutions, especially when they act to advance public interest, we're undermining democracy and the rule of law. And that should not be tolerated.
Thank you very much.
Dimension that corruption has reached in our country, where it's making it virtually impossible for government to do its work. The work of government is to provide for the welfare and security of Nigerians. And increasingly, government is not able to do that. I think it was Nuhu Ribadu when he was in the anti-corruption chair, EFCC, who made the point that you must fight and defeat corruption, or corruption would fight back and defeat you. The alarm we have is that corruption is defeating the Nigerian state at this point in time. The first element of that defeat is that the judiciary provides the response to checkmate corruption. What corruption enablers have done is two things to the judiciary: introduce their friends and relations into positions in the judiciary, and secondly, increase considerably the level of corruption through the bribing of judges. So increasingly, judiciary is no longer able to be a space that provides justice. The second element in terms of this defeat of the Nigerian state has to do with the anti-corruption agencies themselves. There has been a concerted war by corrupt people in public office in Nigeria to make sure anti-corruption agencies are unable or prevented from prosecuting corrupt individuals. This means they are turning those institutions into institutions that are incapable of carrying out what's in their mandate. The third issue, and in a sense this is the most important, is they are making it impossible for government institutions to do their work. We just mentioned the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, where the last two ministers, everybody knows, were pocketing 80 to 90% of the budgets of those agencies and made it impossible for the last 5-6 years for that ministry to do any of its work. And it becomes, when you set up a government, a competition among ministers to see who will steal more and who will steal faster. So that's the game, and that's the tragedy, I would say, in government cycles. We feel that if we allow this destruction of the Nigerian state and its institutions to continue, we will have no country, we will have no state. And the risk is that the present tragedy of anarchy and self-help, in which more and more Nigerians are buying guns, are using those guns against their neighbors, against road users, against farmers, against everybody in the street, is the path to anarchy and destruction. We must stop this level of corruption from continuing to grow if we are to survive as a country. Thanks for your patience.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, colleagues, friends. This